rip into it like the Incredible Hulko.
Let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back again with the WCCW podcast Unbound, recording for the second time.
Take two.
Yeah, because that's how we roll, baby. I got Yaz here, our big old president. How you doing,
I'm doing
Yaz?
pretty good. I'm enjoying America Day.
You're enjoying America
Yeah,
Day?
man. Freedom out the wazoo.
Well, that's you. I got a different story going. And our special guest for this episode, Dagger Dias. And I got his name right this time. Sweet. Dagger, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'll be spending my 4th of July telling the same jokes I already told you guys last time. I remember most of them.
Well, speaking of jokes, today it was Yaz who had Taco Bell.
Yep. Today I had Taco Bell, and it's not sitting well. It was messy, too. Like, I took one bite into my first burrito, and sour cream went everywhere. I got it all over my clothes. It was all over my beard. It was a mess.
Ow, that's nasty.
Well, you know, at least you had sour cream. I had other stuff, and it's insanely disgusting.
This is why I don't eat there.
Oh, man. As much as my head character pimps out Taco Bell, I don't like it nearly as much in real life.
Well, like I said in the last podcast, I eat it all the time, and I'm selling my car. You guys already heard the joke, but whatever. I have the for sale sign. Dude goes over to me and asks me, "Is this car for sale?" I'm like, no, it's the window.
You should tell them the for sale sign is what's for sale.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, you're going to feel really stupid when you get an offer on the window.
I'll sell it, whatever. It's more money for me. But anyway, us here in WCCW had a pay-per-view not that long ago. It was called, what was it called? Oh yeah, Unscripted.
Or uncalled for if you're
And-
Ron.
Yep. So we're gonna steamroll right into talking about it. Our show starts with Eminem because we can afford them.
Yep.
That's the theme of this show. Everything the fans chose, and the fans chose Eminem because rap and wrestling apparently mix.
I chose poorly this time around.
This time isn't the only time as far as I'm concerned. Then we open with some pyrotechnics with some very colorful pyro. Similar day in the 4th of July, which is when we're recording. I don't know why.
Well, because we recorded like 2 days ago and we lost it all.
The phantom spoiler tag strikes again.
Just 3 months and we couldn't fight him off. But oh well. Our show then opens up with Matt Tastic and Slaughter talking about their match. And their stipulation is chosen, which is Lucha Rules. 2 out of 3 falls. You get seconds on the outside. Yada, yada, yada. It's all written down by Falcon, who writes up a very melodramatic intro overall about the show. So guys, what'd you think about the opening?
Okay, I'll go first since it'll kill the awkward silence. I like the little part with the librarian a lot. I don't know how Falcon came up with that, but I thought it was pretty good. The only real complaint I have is, and it's not Falcon, we run out of colors whenever we do spoken parts. So Slaughter had to be in gray, and sometimes that's like weird reading gray text on white background.
It actually gets gray a lot.
We do, and
Yeah, that
I
was a
don't
little
know.
hard to read.
it's better than using like the weird lime, like super fluorescent, like lime green and hot pink colors that we could choose from. Like those
Or
are almost
yellow.
impossible to read, and they're hard. They're hard on the eyes.
Well, we use our greens to mess with our colorblind friends.
Yep, I still do.
So our opening match for the pay-per-view is Elegant fighting Noel Ryder. Bruce Irwin and James Howard, and the fans chose elimination rules for the match. This one was written by our good old friend Dynamite, and James Howard walks away with the Elite X Championship. Just a quick note, Bruce Irwin did no-show the show, but we know why, and we're pulling for his cause.
Yeah. A couple of us know why. I'm not going to go on record and state the reason, but we're hoping that the problem that kept Lee from our team is quickly dealt with and that everything turns out fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you got personal issues, then that's not a no-show. Your life's going to come first, so it's good to know that nothing's going to happen to Bruce Irwin because of that. He's a cool character. Not as cool as Titus, but he's cool.
Crikey.
Crikey.
I am glad, though, the elimination rules got chosen. It's better than the Gauntlet match would have been, and a million times better than the Championship Scramble. Whoever those 5 guys were that voted for that, you need to hang your heads in shame because King of the Mountain is better than Championship Scramble. It's the stupidest gimmick ever made.
Ah, hell no, man. Scramble. I picked Scramble match a million times over King of the Mountain, and I'm a TNA fan.
Yeah, but I think the problem with the Scramble match is we've had a couple of them in the Fed, and if I recall correctly, the last time we had one, it was for the Mayhem title, and we had like 5 guys in the match, and all I remember was Darren Bull was one of the guys in the match, and he was like, no, we're not going to give him the title, even for a brief split second, like Brian Kendrick in the world title. We're not going to do that. So it became who have these little 2 and 3 minute title reigns over the course of the match. So I don't hate as much as Dagger, but I'm glad elimination was picked. I voted for elimination.
It'd be an okay gimmick for a match if it was for like a #1 contendership, but not for actual title matches. It's funny you should mention Brian Kendrick, and he got brought. Because that's why I hate Championship Scrambles, because due to the restricted rules in that gimmick, Brian Kendrick was a champion, but he wasn't. It's stupid.
All right.
So elimination is better. Glad that one.
Let's take a pause here because you guys are cutting up a lot. You guys hearing each other already?
Dagger's cutting out for me a little bit, but I hear you fine, Killjoy.
You were cutting out.
Hearing Killjoy okay, Yaz cut out for a little bit for me.
All right. Hopefully nothing else happens. All right. Getting back to things here. Let's see. Where were we at? Oh yeah. James Howard won the title at the end of it, and what do you guys think of how he's been doing? He's been improving a lot. He's been a heck of a heel lately.
Oh yeah, definitely. Go ahead, Dagger. Go on.
I think he's been doing really well, even though I'm not on creative, so my vote doesn't really actually count. But Howard was the one who I would have picked. I think he really did well on this one. It's going to be interesting to see what he does with what's coming up next, which we'll get to later.
Yeah, I agree. I think Howard, as a heel, it's something that I've wanted to see for a while, like having the ties to the James Howard character that I do. Shitaro and I have talked about like what the ideal James Howard heel run would be for a while, and it's taken a little while, but I think we're finally getting to see that. And I said it before, and I'll say it again, I think he's a real dark horse for the Lethal Lottery, so long as he can commit the time to writing out a good like Lethal Lottery RP. Excuse me.
I could see that happening.
All right. Well, after the match, we see Stephen Holmes returns. He talks about probably coming back at the roulette rounds and hints about apparently he's keeping an eye on certain talents. What are your thoughts, Yaz?
I don't think I ever beat Stephen Holmes, so hopefully he comes back and I can lay a whooping on it. He actually was. It was Holmes and Constantine were the first tag team to ever beat Strikeforce, and they had to cheat to do it. So you should come back, and I'll lay a whooping on him with his SmackDown.
We'll see about that with your record. Dagger.
I would definitely be glad to see Holmes back. He's a cool guy, both in character and out of character. I don't think I've beaten either. I know he beat me the first time we faced each other. It was my second singles match, I want to say. But I was still brand new at the time. He was a former world champion, so you do the math there. But I like the character.
Yeah, he he had a very organic rise to the top. I remember him starting and teaming up with Stephen Courtesy. Following that, he went on a singles run. He actually won the Elite X Championship, which we'll get to that later. He rebranded it the Elite Championship. After that, he pretty much organically went up to the main event and eventually won the world title. He got to Kingdom Come, and yeah, he's one of our more well-known characters. Very good, so yeah, we welcome the return. But after his return, we go straight into Eve Taylor versus Kagura Ozora, with the winner taking the loser's rematch. Kagura having a rematch for the Elite X Championship, and Eve Taylor having a rematch for the Eurasian Championship. But at the end, Eve Taylor takes the Elite X Championship title match. That one was written by me. I guess we could say it was submissions galore because it's pretty much all they do during the match. Very judo-friendly match, or UFC-friendly, if you will. Dagger, what are your thoughts on the match?
I thought it was done pretty well. Definitely going to be one that's going to be looked back on for all the upcoming women versus the future. And we definitely got the gimmick that we should have gotten, because having the opponent's respective title match, that changes things up quite a bit. Now we're going to get Howard versus Eve, and that's going to be pretty interesting. As far as the RPs went, my unofficial vote did go to Eve. I think that Falk, he just knocked it out of the park with that one. Although Etches was really good too. It's just he kind of delved a little off topic a bit, which I'm guilty myself of doing in a lot of my older RPs. I do like the story, but Eve focused more on the match and why she needed to win, so she was my pick.
Yeah, the RPs were pretty contrasting, but before we talk about those, Yaz, what are your thoughts on the match?
It sucked. Whoever wrote it should punch himself in the face.
I got enough shit to deal with, man.
Literally.
Oh my god. Jokes.
No, I thought it was a pretty good match. Characters sort of utilizing their respect, like they're not full like martial artists, but each draw heavily from martial arts in their moveset. So I thought you nailed that pretty well. And like Dagger said, Kagura's RP, I think Esh focused more on an upcoming story as opposed to the match itself. The mental image of Eve sitting in a room with all of her modeling trophies was very easy to create a nice mental picture, and that's Chakama gave the edge.
Yeah, she really painted it like this opportunity was big. It meant something for her, which is probably what drove it home for her. Whereas Kagura just had a story for future occasions. We don't know where that'll lead, but hopefully it'll lead somewhere that'll push Kagura ahead.
For what it's worth, it is a really interesting story, so I definitely want to see.
Yeah, I felt that way. I see where Ash goes next in this. I just hope that it has a good end game. I don't want to be let down by it.
Yeah. As far as Kagura goes, though, do you guys think this is probably Echelon's best character, or would you say Celeste has been better?
Ooh, that's
Yeah, as you go ahead.
That's tough because, I mean, you look at it. Celeste was the very first female champion in WZCW history when she was tag champion with Stephen Holmes. I think the problem that Esh has with Celeste was she was known more for her longevity than for her accomplishments, and so I think each character's on par. I think the longevity of Celeste and the number of like big storylines she was involved in really, bump her up the list. She was pretty much the leader of Team WZCW when they took on the Apostles of Chaos at Kingdom Come 4. And, that's a pretty big role to fill. But with Kagura, Esh found success early. He was the second female singles champion. Literally became the first female singles champion. So I think, each character has their own strengths. As far as which one's better, I like Celeste a little better just because I'm more familiar with what she brings to the table, whereas Kagura is still a bit of a work in progress story-wise. So that's just my personal views on it.
Yeah.
Dagger,
I feel kind of the same way. I mean, I wasn't around for all of Celeste's run, but I really liked what I saw from her for the stuff that I've been around for. Had Edge stuck with her the whole time and not brought in Kagura and not taken some time off, I really think that he could have won the world title with Celeste by now. So anything that Kagura's done, Celeste could have done. But I really like both characters, so whether he brings Celeste back or keeps Kagura, he's a great writer. I'll keep reading his stuff.
To me, Kagura is probably a little more streamlined. I know Celeste has a far bigger history, but at the same time, the whole being around for so long, both runs she had, it sort of kind of squeezed the lemon, I guess, and left her with little juice to go with. So the reboot with Kagura, with all the ideas sort of like streamlined, got her far ahead much faster. So I think that, to me, that's his best character. But anyway, the pay-per-view keeps going, and next we got Ty Burner walking down the hallway, and he's being stalked by, well, the same horror movie character that's been going after him. But afterwards, we got James Howard and Eve Taylor going heel to heel, I guess we could say. Both guys being villains in this case, and will be facing each other soon enough for the Elite X Championship. Dagger, what do you think about this setup?
I think that's going to be a really interesting feud because people don't necessarily want to see heel versus heel, but with how good those guys are as writers and how entertaining those two respective characters are, it could be a pretty entertaining feud.
Yaz, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it could be entertaining from the standpoint that even though it is heel versus heel, you have two like pretty vicious heels. Howard's recent run, he's really gone and just decimated opponents, but anyone who comes across him. Whereas, for lack of a better word, Eve's a bitch, and I think that Falcon captures that very well. And so, you're going to have two heels. They're both vicious, but I think when you look at the reasons for their actions being different, Howard, he wants to hurt people, whereas Eve, she wants to chase titles and make a name for herself. So it has the potential to be a real knockdown, drag-out fight.
Yeah, I think it's a case of the beauty versus the beast, if we could go through that cliche. The pay-per-view keeps going. Now we got Mikey Storm Rage's Open Challenge, a lumberjack match written by Kermit, where both Garth Black and Logan McAllister, the new guy, were both chosen, but Tasticles did not RP for the match. It was not obligatory, so it was just Logan McAllister going up against Mikey Storm Rage. Mikey picks up the win to finally break his losing streak on pay-per-view and pick up a strong win. Yaz, what were your thoughts on the match?
I'm glad I won. Kept my undefeated streak at Unscripted alive. Going into the match, like as far as what I had RP for, I don't want to say I was at a disadvantage, but I've only had a match for it was going to be, so it's hard to really focus on promo. You kind of have to be a bit more general. So, I went with Mikey and Leon breaking into a nature reserve and getting attacked by bears, which might be the dumbest thing I've ever won with. There were some good RPs that I came up against, though. Had I come up against another competitor, I'm not sure I would have gotten the win. But the match itself was pretty well written. I especially enjoyed the way Kermit wrote the Falcon Punch. It's always a fun move. And Kermit had fun just drawing it out with a Falcon Punch. He really Super Smash Brothered it, so can't hate on that.
Indeed.
You're the new video game references. Kermit did a pretty good job. I liked it. Dagger, what were your thoughts on the match?
It was a pretty good match. This one, for me, when I was doing my voting, this was the reason it took me so long to submit my vote, because I didn't want to vote for somebody who may have no-showed. So I'm glad that you guys had a plan for that. And I think Logan was the one who should have gotten it. There were some other good RPs, but he really stepped it up. Although,
Yeah, it was it.
though getting into my unofficial pick, I probably would have picked Yaz no matter who he faced, because it was a really funny read, and that whole line about I beat up this panda bear so I can beat up anybody else. That was really convincingly funny. So he was my pick. But I enjoyed everything I read on this one, and it was a pretty good match. And I definitely agree on the Falcon Punch comment also.
How was that not a Mikey Storm Rage heel turn?
Well, you see, he's a fan of pandas, so he had to reluctantly beat them up to save Leon. I don't know what kind of trouble he would have gotten into had he let Leon be mauled to death by a bear, but I'm not going to take that risk.
Those are the most passive kind of bears out there. I don't know why they attack
say
Leon.
that, but when you see videos of them trying to protect their children or trying to protect their food, they're pretty vicious.
Well, of course, they're endangered.
Yeah, there's only about 1,600 of them left in the wild. Makes me sad.
Well, they don't want to reproduce. I don't know what's going on through their heads, but they do not want to
Yeah.
reproduce.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man. Just start banging. Have babies.
It probably thinks the girl panda's ugly.
She's icky and has cooties.
But anyway, going to a completely different subject, we got Johnny Scum and Armando Paradise back in our roster.
Yes, we do.
Welcome back. Johnny Scum, of course, being Thrash's character. He is, I guess, a punk rocker?
Yeah, he's a bit of a
Of some
punk
sort?
rock tattoo aficionado.
Yep, and Armando Paradise, who used to be Puerto Rican, and now he's ditched his country. I'm gonna beat him up
Do it.
for doing that.
Beat him up. Go find Ryder and beat him up.
I can't believe he turned his back on his country.
Well, we're just gonna have Tastic versus Paradise in a couple of rounds.
Oh my gosh!
The battle for Latino supremacy.
Once I beat him, I'm gonna drape him on the Puerto Rican flag, and that'll be the end of that. But after that little spat, Freddie Fortune is in the back, cutting a promo on behalf of Team Russia. They are going to win. At least that's what they say. Then Theron and KO find each other backstage as they get ready for their Eurasian Championship title match, with the stipulation being chosen as the opponent's finisher must be utilized in order to win the match. That was written by Dave, our resident Scotsman. Theron Dagger Shield. Oh, jeez. Theron Dagger Shield, unfortunately unable to defend his championship, and Chris KO, a two-time Eurasian champion. Dagger, what are your thoughts on the match?
Well, like I already stated in the discussion thread, there's no shame in losing to Kermit. He's an awesome writer, I love all his stuff, and we're in character. Our guys are really good friends. Had a great match that was written by Dave. Had a cool gimmick that was chosen. Speaking of that, I'm actually kind of surprised the other two got as many votes as they did, just because it seemed like that one was a whole lot more popular in the discussion thread than the others. But just in case, when this did get chosen, I tried to address all three of them as best I could in the RP, but the better man won, and we'll just have to see what the future has in store for the Warblade.
Yaz, any thoughts on the match?
I thought it was pretty well written. When I think as far as me deciding on votes, I think that was the closest one for me. You know, when Dagger Right beat them, and it's always a good story. They may not focus much on the match or wrestling itself. You've gotten a lot better at it, but they're always a good story to read. Just kind of kick back and relax for 15 minutes and read an RP. Kermit did a pretty good job writing the comedy character. It's not easy to do. It's someone who does try to do it from time to time. And like I've said before, it might have been the friendliest rivalry in history. And we talked about it on the last go round, but it shows that you can do a face versus face feud, and it worked.
Yeah, I think Kermit had a much more serious go around with his harpy instead of the more zany comedy he tends to.
The dream sequence was nice and funny, though.
Yeah, but it was a monkey's humpadairs.
Why would that happen?
Well, that's what he did last time against James Howard.
I don't
Yeah, he
remember
did
Yeah,
that.
now he's a two. Yeah, that's what he did on the last pay-per-view on Gold Rush. Humping chairs. There were actually, I think it was just chairs, and he was humping chairs. But yeah, anyway, he's now a two-time Eurasian champion, the second person to win the Eurasian Championship twice. The first one being Showtime. It's kind of amazing though. Now we're getting a two-time Eurasian champion. Yaz, what are your thoughts on that particular fact?
I don't want to brag, but being the last guy to successfully defend the Eurasian title, it's very hotly contested. So it does surprise me a bit that we're just now getting the second two-time champion. Hopefully, KO be champions as far as having a nice successful reign. But as long as the Eurasian title's been around, it is a bit surprising that only Showtime and Chris KO have managed to win it more than once.
Yeah, we've had several people that have actually attempted it, but no, it's the first time now, or second time that we have a two-time champion. Dagger, your thoughts on it?
From my perspective, it seems like it might just be a case of when people lose it, they either get burnt out and take some time off, or they climb further up the card.
Yeah. I mean, really, when we take a look back, we don't really have too many two-time champions. I mean, the most we have is four-time Mayhem champion, which is Matt Tastic, but...
Quit pimping your own character.
Well, it was more a case of literally dropping it and getting it right back several times over until it got old. That and championship scrambles. But that's from the olden days. Dagger, what do you think is next for your character going forward?
I really don't know. It depends on how the roulette rounds are going to go, but I'd like to see him probably get put into a contendership match. If I manage to win that, maybe a world title shot. I mean, it would depend on what's going on with Tastic and his world title aspirations. But our face roster is getting kind of thin, so maybe Theron will get to move up.
Well, Yaz, what do you think of that idea?
It's not a bad idea. I definitely think when you look at Theron from his debut up until now, he's had a pretty consistent rise from being a rookie to now. You know, he challenged for mid-card titles. Then he came through with a big win. And so, you know, it's only natural that, you know, if he doesn't stay at that level, that he'll move up. And there's no reason for him to move down the card. You know, it's not like he put in a crap RP. It's just like, oh, well, you know, it doesn't look like he has the time to stick around. So he definitely... He said he definitely deserves to, at the very least, stay where he's at, challenging for mid-card titles.
Yeah, and with Lethal Lottery coming up, there's that big opportunity to just shoot up right up to the top.
Definitely.
Yep. Anything could happen.
Yeah, I mean,
Last year's proof.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's how I pulled it out of the bag. And I still think it was a fluke. But it happened, and I ran with it.
You rolled a 20.
Yep. I hit a critical hit. Just like what Theron got hit.
Well, if I had to lose, it might as well be by the best finisher in the whole Fed. Yeah, that's right. I went there. Twice.
Twice now.
Because I made that same joke in the last start
Twice.
that the fan of Spoiler Tag destroyed.
Yeah, and speaking of the same jokes over and over again, that was more of an SKO than a critical hit. Still one of the stupidest storylines on television.
Yeah, but at least he defends his build.
Yep. We'll get into Brock Lesnar later.
Oh, yes, we will.
Next, we move on to the tag team title match because we got Team Russia, those evil Russians, against Cerberus, the two-headed dog. Speaking of dogs, oh my god. They're in a no DQ match with Everest as a special guest referee as chosen by the fans. Cerberus comes out on top yet again, cementing them as probably the best tag team ever. Better than Strikeforce, dare I say. Yaz, do you agree?
No, I wouldn't agree that they're better than Strikeforce, sir.
Well, they were better than Team
Russia. Yeah, they were better than
Russia.
Team Russia. They had the better RPs. It's a little disheartening to lose a title match. I mean, it's disheartening to lose any match, but especially a title match. But, you know, Cerberus, they're right up there with the best teams of all time. They deserve the accolades and recognition that they've gotten. So there's really no shame in losing to them at this point. it's just to me, it's interesting to see where they go next. You know, who's left to challenge Cerberus.
We'll see about that. Dagger, your thoughts on the match?
That was a pretty good match. I'm glad that we got one of the two special guest referees. I was kind of concerned. I brought it up on the last version of this, that if you guys had gotten the Rampart and Flex lose, they can't challenge anymore stipulation, what was going to happen? Who was going to challenge Team Russia? We're kind of struggling with the tag team scene at the moment, unless either some teams reunite or some of the rookies get together, or from team out of the roulette round happens to like being a team.
Well, there's always the Freebird switcheroo. We could have had Eve Taylor team up with one of the other guys.
Yeah, but then Eve Taylor had to go and win a mid-card title match.
Well, she would have probably just had to give whichever Cerberus guy she switches with. Like, say she switched with Flex, then Flex would get the match against Howard, and Rampart and Eve would defend the tag titles.
You see, would you look at that? Dagger actually fixed the plot hole he pointed out the last time.
I'm glad he fixed it,
Thank you,
since he
Dagger.
had the audacity to point out the flaws in our glorious creative plans.
Well, when you're a Gmod, you have to do these things.
Man, we should start calling you KB Jr.
Little KB.
Anyway, speaking of the last go around with this podcast, we did point out something, and a couple of the matches are kind of a little too spoiler tag heavy. Yaz, you want to address that little thing first?
Excuse me. Yeah. I think there are times where the spoiler, like putting your parts of the match in spoiler tags, can be good, especially if you know you're coming up to a climactic moment. But if you go back and look at certain matches, particularly the my match, you had spoiler tags within spoiler tags, and to me that's a little too much. So I think if we can limit it to one when we're writing, I think that would be the ideal way to go about it.
Yep. Dagger, any thoughts on the spoiler tags?
I think for me, it's just a case of they are overdone a little bit. I like them when they're used for a controversial finish, or just things are getting really intense during the match, or if something awesome is about to happen. You have to click spoiler to see what it's going to be. But no, you guys shouldn't do spoilers within spoilers. You should not do more than one per match. That's what I think.
Yeah, they certainly help to make the reader go through the trouble of actually reading the match and then reaching the climax.
Right.
And a little look over through the page doesn't spoil things, since normally the victory is put in bold, so it's easy to catch. But anyway, moving on, following the tag team title match, we got Constantine stalking Ty Burna. He's the one who's been stalking Ty with a burlap bag over his face. And basically we get a hardcore match between Ty Burna and Constantine. We got barbed wire bats, we got people being thrown into barricades, we got stretchers, and eventually Ty Burna gets chucked off the stage, strapped to a stretcher, and pretty much is killed yet again. This was written by Falcon. I guess this is the theoretical write-off to Ty Burna. Yas, what do you think of the overall segment?
You know, I'm glad that there was some closure to something that we've been building to for a while. The implosion of the Elite was something that I think a lot of people were looking forward to. So it's good to see that Ty and Constantine did have their final battle, even if it was a completely unsanctioned, unofficial match.
It's better than a TNA unsanctioned match. Dagger, your thoughts on it?
I feel pretty much the same way. I'm glad that we closure on it. It really put Constantine over, as well as giving Ty a ready-made feud if he's going to be coming back anytime soon. So hopefully if he's able to, he will, and it's going to be great for Constantine to have come out on the top from this.
Yeah, Ty has a propensity to be thrown off giant objects and eventually coming back later, since as far back as 2010, Showtime being the first guy to chuck him off the stage. Following all that, we got the world title match with the Lucha Rules as chosen. Mikey Storm Rage introduces Mattastic in Spanish in China.
Globalization, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly, and Mattastic goes head-to-head with Dorian Slaughter, the unstoppable one. And three fall rules. The first fall goes to Mattastic after he gets bashed in the head with a steel chair. Ugh. Then Dorian Slaughter takes the second fall by pin via his finishing maneuver. And then finally, he taps out Mattastic for the win. Yaz wrote this match, completely burying me because that's the kind of jerk he is. Yaz,
Um, for me, the hardest
explain
part of
yourself.
writing the match, honestly, was knowing that my character was in it and trying not to make my character take a spotlight away from the two world title competitors. So I tried to write a couple little moments where Mikey and Matt had interaction, and other than that, I tried to play up the whole Dorian Slaughter kind of being this unstoppable Brock Lesnar type of animal that he's become. In 10 months on the roster, he's gone from like a completely unknown rookie that we almost rejected to world champion.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, Dagger, your thoughts?
That was a good match, and it was actually kind of hard for me to make my pick on this one, even though my votes don't matter. I did like Slaughters a little bit more. I've really liked everything that he's been doing with the Norse stuff. We started doing more of that. I'm Swedish myself, English being my second language, so I really like reading about all the Norse stuff. And he's found a way to completely redo a character type that's been done a million times.
Yeah, he's definitely sort of reinvented the whole dark character. We've had so many of them. Tyburn, of course, being the more successful one, but Dorian pretty much comes close now, being even faster on the rise to the top. We did have a bit of a sort of a battle going on between the contents of the RP. My RP was more focused on the actual match, but at the same time, it was sort of going different directions. I had a verbal promo recorded via YouTube, a hospital section, and a metaphorical section. But Dorian had the more straight RP. He had the nice Norse mythology story with the Ragnarok and all that. But he didn't really talk about the match. But at the same time, it was a much easier read. Yes, more streamlined, more straight to the point. And most of the time, yeah, when we read our RPs, we tend to go for the easier one as far as telling the story goes. Yaz, you voted for this. What do you think?
I actually did vote for Tastic over Slaughter. And my reasoning was even though Slaughter had a really good read and it's continuing his long line of just really interesting, like good, like well written RPs, to me, what held him back was the fact that he didn't really talk about the match itself. He did in a bit of in a metaphorical sense. But I remember reading that. I'm like, wait, I don't remember Matt's name being mentioned at all. And so I went back and looked it over, and I was like, yeah, he doesn't mention Matt Tastic by name once. And to me, that's kind of a big deal, especially when you're a heel character. So, to me, it was great. It was something that would probably win 9 out of 10 times, but this one time for me anyway, I went with the losing RP as the one I voted for.
Well, you win some, you lose some. Dagger, any thoughts since you also read the RPs?
Yeah, I mean, they both were really good, but I did pick Dorian for my unofficial pick. And I can see where you guys are coming from, that he didn't necessarily address the match, but at the same time, he did. He kind of a similar style to what I've been doing on my recent pay-per-view matches, telling a myth, and it still addresses the match in a metaphorical way. It's just that with mine, I used more of the actual Theronized names for things, and he went far more into the mythological side of it. It was a good read. I loved it.
Yeah, definitely. It was a streamlined read. There was a purpose to it. Not like mine, which goes all over the place, which it's just me admitting, yeah, I got beat, and I'm happy for it because it's this new up and coming star, and I get to put him over. And well, yeah, I don't like to brag about winning, so congratulations, Dorian Slaughter. You beat me, and now it's time for you to keep going up and keep on with that momentum you've got going. So that brings a close to our pay-per-view. That was unscripted, with stipulations chosen by the fans, because we're all about the people, right?
Most of the time.
Most of the time, no, all the time, right, Dagger?
Yep, just sometimes.
Aw.
Just
Anyway,
giving you a hard time.
our next shows are going to be what we refer to as the roulette round.
Yes.
Our ping for, oh my god, last time when we were recording this, I completely lost my English at this point, but I wrote it down. Ping is mandatory. You got that? So if you can't RP, let us know. We'll write you off properly. We will not penalize you. Major returns are coming. We already set up the potential return for Stephen Holmes. We got more on the way. I don't think we can say him though, right? Yeah.
You know them, and I know them, and the other 5 guys in creative know them. But that's it. Other than the RPers themselves who are coming back, but that and our Paradise kind of spoiled it.
Barrett Stratton is coming back.
You're not supposed to let people.
I cut you off. Anyway, yeah, our roulette rounds are coming, and basically you RP, and then Kermit, our resident frog, goes to the trouble of sorting out a randomizer, and it will give us matches. All titles will be up for grabs. We cannot put them on the line on tag team matches, though, unless it's the tag team titles. Yaz, you want to keep going with the explanations?
Yeah, pretty much like you said, the titles, if the match is applicable, well, they'll be on the line. So, that's just off the top of my head. When I advertised it in the bar room, I mentioned that our new champion, Dorian Slaughter, could end up defending his title against a brand new rookie in a bra and panties match.
It's just like what Oscar Aries wanted at the Slammiversary.
Man, we can talk about that later. But like, yeah, the roulette rounds for me, they're always a lot of fun because you can kind of write a zany RP and it really won't count against you. You can think outside the box. You can try something new, and you can blame the loss on the randomizer if you have to. You don't know who your opponent's going to be. Even those of us on creative have no clue what the matches are going to be up until the randomizer does its job. The only thing we know are the participants and what type of matches we're going to have as far as gimmicks go. And like I said, outside of that, totally random.
Yeah, the matches don't get made until after all the RPs are so we're not going to have any up aheads as far as the RPing goes. Dagger, your thoughts on the roulette rounds?
I could see this being one of the funnest rounds of the year from y'all's side of the fence. I'm really looking forward to it. It's all the psychotic randomness could potentially happen, and I'm not spoiling anything here, but I am going to try something a little bit different and take a bit of a risk with my RP this round. I did do something drastically different last year by departing from all the quests for artifacts of Mystra, and instead of doing that, I had Theron do a snow glider video game contest in an arcade. Had some fun with that one. So I tried to do something a little silly again this time. If you guys like parodies, tributes, and depending on your sense of humor, you might or might not like this one. So again, I took a risk. We'll find out what happens.
We'll see. I adore parodies. Just a quick note: the tag team titles will only be on the line if both Ramparte and Flex Muscle or Musel are both in the match, and it's a tag team match, just to clarify that. The roulette rounds are always set up as a sort of preparation for the upcoming Lethal Lottery pay-per-view, which we'll get into later. But first, we got to talk about WZCW's logo. We've written up an article looking for people who want to possibly create a new logo to then put up to voting. Dagger, are you going to be entering this thing?
I've thought about it. If I do enter one, it's probably going to be something that's 8-bit, like more of the NES graphics, because that's kind of more of my graphical style. Like all of those pictures of my opponents on the match banners I've been doing, and the Merry Band of Misfits, and all those pictures, those are all actual Final Fantasy characters that I've repixelized and recolored. So maybe I'll try doing something in that kind of style. Submit that, just for fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely entering. I've already got a couple of logos set up. Yaz, how about you? You gonna do something on Paint?
I can try. That's, I'm not very good with Photoshop and things like that, so it's probably best that I don't enter into this and make a mockery of it.
You can always draw it and scan it.
I can't draw either. My
You can't draw
I
either.
can't. My artistic ability starts and stops with writing.
Can you draw stick people?
Barely.
Yeah, you could draw a stick guy and then write WCCW under it
Yeah.
on notebook
And
paper.
then when people decide to take the piss out of the contest and pick that one, that's going to be our new logo, and everyone's going to hate me.
Probably. Yeah, but so yeah, so if you got some graphic design skills, go ahead and enter the contest. We implore it. It's the face of the company. It's not John Cena, just in case. It's the face of the company. It's the overall look. And we were also talking about a little earlier about the Elite X title. I wanted to bring up the name of the actual title. It's unusual, isn't it? It's kind of the most unusual title name I've ever heard. What exactly is an Elite X? Is it a division? Is it some kind of rules? Yaz, you want to clarify, Mr.
Um,
Bossman?
I don't really know much about the history of the title other than that back in the day, each mid card title was exclusive to a show. Like I could be wrong, but I believe the Eurasian was defended exclusively on Meltdown, and the Elite X was defended exclusively on Ascension. And other than that, it's just kind of a name. You mentioned it earlier. Stephen Holmes once rebranded the Elite X title as the Elite title, and I felt like that name worked a little better. But oddly enough, the guy who beat him for the title when he rebranded it was Triple X, so adding the X back to Elite X made a lot of sense. But if we decide one day that we want to change the name of one of the titles, the Elite X will be the one that I decide, yeah, this is the one we're going to change the name of.
Yeah, I think it's just a pretty odd name. Dagger, what do you think? You being a former challenger to the
It
title.
is kind of a silly name. Back before you and Funke and Falcon convinced me to join, and I just viewed stuff for lurking. I saw that title, and I thought it was something kind of like TNA's X Division. So it is a silly name. I think that maybe doing kind of like what they did with Stephen Holmes, changing it back to calling it the Elite title could be cool. Maybe even incorporate it into a storyline. Like maybe, talk to Shotaro or Falcon to see if the winner of this upcoming feud for the title would be interested in bringing that title back somehow, or bringing that name back.
Yeah, it's not a matter of, not caring for the history. It's more like an aesthetic thing. It's kind of
It
an
sounds
odd
more of a
name.
big deal to say, I'm the Elite Champion instead of I'm the Elite X Champion. I like the title. It's got some cool history to it, but it is kind of a silly name.
Yeah, it's not like, say, the Mayhem title, which, well, made sense because that's what the division was about.
Yeah,
Mayhem.
totally.
Yeah, it really is.
So we're going to put so we're going to put that one up into consideration. So if you guys are listening and want to chime in on the subject, go ahead. Dagger, wanted to ask you, what are some of your favorite memories from the EFED match, character, storylines, anything?
Good questions. Favorite match, as far as the ones Theron's been in, gonna have to go with obvious reasons for when I won the Eurasian title, because I love that whole Crusade storyline. I had a blast writing that, and it was just an awesome moment for me to finally, after so many failed attempts at get that big win. As far as disregarding anything Theron was in, it was probably last year's Lethal Lottery. I really enjoyed rating that and just seeing what ended up going down, that nobody expected it, and everybody having the chance to potentially win the title was cool going into that. Favorite characters would probably be, I'd say Khalifa is probably my favorite character of all time. I have never read an RP of that character that I disliked. I also really liked Haven, Kermit's other character, and liked Los Magnificos Dragones as a tag team. They were really entertaining. Liked a lot of Red Skulls guys. Just anything that if you genuinely entertain me, I'm gonna like it.
Yeah, just another Los Magnificos Dragones, just another idea WWE stole from us.
Totally.
Yeah, but we did it better.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
put our, at least we put our
Um,
TV.
what was that?
At least we put our dragons got on TV.
Definitely. Coming up also is our Lethal Lottery pay-per-view, which is what the roulette round set us up for. 30 men go in, one comes out, a world championship opportunity on the line for Kingdom Come, our biggest show of the year. Sorry, guys, the world title will not be on the line again like last year. Dagger, you're preparing already for this big match?
Yeah, I've got some RP ideas in mind, whether Theron's going to be in a title match or in a contendership match or just the lottery itself. Because whatever goes down with the lottery, that's going to help out a lot, so it's all to be determined at this time.
Guys, what about you? You preparing for the big match?
Man, I wish I could say I have this whole awesome story arc planned out, but I don't. A lot of what I'm going to do depends on what happens during the roulette rounds. And, obviously we're going to have to wait a little bit since we're not breaking up Liv Moss ever. And we're going to continue to be the very best friends of all time.
Well, if you guys are never breaking up Liv Moss, maybe you guys should challenge for the tag team titles next.
Maybe we could.
That's something I really like to see.
You might consider that.
Oh, well, I got a rematch clause first. There's a world title I want to win back.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, but if
I'm,
Matastic wins, yeah, well, maybe doesn't count anymore. Yeah, all you need to do is win the tag team titles, and you'll be a Triple Crown winner.
actually, Grand Slam might have had all the titles.
Yeah, exactly.
All 5 of them, because I like to show off.
So we're gonna have to.
We'll see. There's more.
Someday.
The world title gets me more money. Sorry, Yaz. We'll see.
Hey, it's not easy being part of one of the best teams of all time.
Come on. We'll see soon enough where things go. It is a pain of a match to write, though, from a creative standpoint. Yes. Remember last year?
I remember both years that I've been on creative. This will be my 3rd Lethal Lottery, and I remember the first year was my very first pay-per-view on creative, and I wanted to make an impression. I'll help write the Lethal Lottery. That's like, and I remember Ty comes in and says, "Yeah, I'll write part of the lottery." And I'm instantly like, well, crap. Now I have to write something that's going to be just as good as what Ty Burner would write. And then, as we learned last year, it can be hard to coordinate 3 different guys writing one match.
Oh, yeah. I was the novice going in, and I had a really hard time trying to figure it out. KB completely criticized me to no end as far as the first part of the match.
Well, it can be hard to write because, especially both times I've written the middle. And the hardest part about that is it's usually the last part that's written because you have the list of participants, and then we have the list of who's eliminated when, what you get. So I'm like, okay, well, who's going to continue on to the 3rd? It's a lot of coordination, and you've got, most of the time you've got 10, 11 guys in the ring at once, and just like the real life Royal Rumble, it's hard to keep focus on so many guys in the ring at one time. So wrestler X is fighting wrestler B, and wrestler C is in the corner taking a rest, and wrestler D is hanging on the top rope almost being eliminated by wrestler X, and wrestler Z is fighting wrestler L, and oh wait, here comes wrestler W, and it's just it can be hard.
Maybe you could try taking a look at it from like a D&D perspective, because when we do big battles with lots of NPCs, lots of monsters, lots of playable characters all at once, you got to look into it and see what is this individual character or this individual monster, but what are they doing in like the next 6 seconds? Just enter each one of their minds, know what's going on with everybody all at once. I mean, I know I'm one to talk because I suck at writing matches, but I don't know, maybe that might help make it a little bit easier.
I don't know, but Yaz's explanation just gave me a horrible nightmare regarding algebra.
Dude, algebra was the only class in high school I ever failed.
Dude.
So.
Nah, I failed a few classes.
Algebra wasn't
Algebra
wasn't so bad for me. For me, geometry was the worst. That is the most useless pile of crap class of all time.
Yeah, geometry was kind of worthless, but I got a B in it, and that's the highest grade I got in math all through high school. So.
You probably had a good teacher. Mine was horrendous.
My teacher looked like the guy in the Pringles cans. He had a really thick mustache, and he had a really short temper. Like, he kicked the desk and picked it up and threw it across the room one day. So.
Either that's a very light desk or that man is scary strong.
But was he a good teacher?
Good question. I don't remember.
See, I don't either. Mine sucked, but all I really remember from the class was this. He had his own theorems, and they were all really weird and stupid. And one of them being, if you go by looks, you end up dating a transvestite. That's what we learned in geometry.
That's okay. Just move on.
I had a good teacher. I had a good teacher, but it was in Spanish, which tends to be a barrier for me. Yeah, that's Lethal Lottery coming up soon. Any other subjects you guys want to talk about before we move on? All right, but before we get to that, let me just say, if you're listening and don't have a clue what we're talking about, we are WZCW. We are the best wrestling EFED out there. We got the best staff, right, Yaz? Yep. Yeah. We got easy-to-follow rules. We're great, entertaining writing shows with fun characters. We are live at the WrestleZone forums. And if you're interested in just writing and having fun with imaginary wrestlers, give us a look. And that'll end our WCCW section.
Hopefully that will get us some more.
Yeah, but overall, that's pretty much what we got, unless we want to add something. Dagger, you think you got anything new to
add? For wrestling stuff or miscellaneous?
Whatever you want.
Whichever you want.
Pretty much covered all the current feds. Well, we could talk about video games or D&D, some of my specialties.
Yeah, if you want. I'm losing my voice, so I'm just gonna let you guys take the floor for now.
About time. What kind of characters are you running? What kind of characters are you running right now in D&D, Dagger?
I'm currently doing multiple 3.5 edition campaigns. The one we've been playing the most recently, I've talked about it some over in the EFED section. I'm playing an Elven Summoner, which is a class my DM let me create. It functions identically to the Sorcerer class, which is a spontaneous caster. They don't have to prepare their spells ahead of time. So it's a lot like that class, but you're required to take all the summoning spells, hence the name Summoner, and you're also encouraged to take some of the offensive damaging spells too. So if you've played Final Fantasy IV, you're basically following the same template as Rydia from that game. So I got that character, my Elven Summoner. I like that one. I'm also playing a Elven Weapon Master, who is the namesake for my EFED character there on Dagger Shield. It's exactly what it sounds like. He's badass with a sword. He does his thing. I've also got a Dragon Disciple. I haven't really got to do much with him yet because we haven't played that campaign in a while. That's basically it's kind of hard to explain because it's a prestige class. You have to meet certain requirements to even unlock the class at all. But it's fun to play. He's got some draconic abilities that he can cast because he took some levels in Bard, and he can fight because he took some levels in Fighter. So I'm hoping to get back to playing him some again soon. And the last one for the current campaigns that we're doing is a Favored Soul. That one's also a different variation of an elf for the race. The class itself is like Cleric. It's a healer, but similar to my Summoner, it's spontaneous. So she doesn't have to prepare her spells ahead of time, and she is, unlike the Summoner, she is healing-based. And going to be playing that one soon. That will be the campaign that character's in will be replacing the one that my Summoners group is in, because we're about to wrap that one up. And actually, we were going to fight the final boss of that campaign tonight, but we had some guys who couldn't make it, so we'll probably be playing that next week at the next D&D session. As far as regular consoles are concerned, I've downloaded the Earthbound Beginnings game that got released on the Wii U Virtual Console, which is the prequel to Earthbound. It's really fun. If you've played Earthbound, the Super NES game, it's a lot like that, but much harder. Have to throw that disclaimer in there. That game is freaking hard, but it's a pretty fun game. It's worth the challenge if you would like to check that out. And then of course Smash Brothers and Mario Kart and New Super Mario 3D World. So I'm having some fun with the Wii U titles.
That reminds me, Square Enix has been dropping some pretty big hints about a successor to Chrono Trigger lately.
I actually did not hear that.
Yeah,
But
we read about it on Facebook today.
But speaking
Didn't
of,
they have a sequel already though?
Well, it's not so much a sequel as it is like sort of a spiritual successor.
Oh, okay. So I remember the Chrono Cross game, which wasn't that good.
it was good, but it should have been a standalone game and not necessarily had any connections to Chrono Trigger. It would have done better that way because people were expecting something to follow up to Chrono Trigger, and that's an act that's nearly impossible to follow.
Yeah, definitely. I think it would have been maybe like say Legend of Dragoon. That was an
I
awesome.
loved
RPG
that game.
Absolutely love it.
Speaking of RPGs and pen and paper games, I bought this game for my phone a couple of days ago. It's called Knights of Pen and Paper. And it's a really interesting game where not only do you play as the adventurers, but you have partial control over the DM as well. Like you can't like switch to playing the DM and like automatically like boost all your character's stats. But let's just say you come across like you're doing a quest where you have to kill enemies to like help a village, and say they're like, oh, we need you to kill 50 bats to help the bat infestation in our village. Well, you can choose to only maybe fight like 5 of them at a time if your like group is under leveled. And it's got all the basic classes from most pen and paper games. There's a cleric, a paladin, a warrior, a rogue, a mage, a bard, a hunter, druid, a knight. So you can set it up pretty much any way you want, and it's only like $3, and I'm really enjoying it.
It sounds fun.
But outside of that, I haven't really been doing much as far as video games go. It's a shocker, I know, but
Yeah, I sadly haven't. Hopefully, when I get paid, though, I've already seen what GameStop has. I'm really interested in Batman, though, like the latest Arkham games.
I've been talking to Pancake. He's been playing that, and he said it's pretty good. He was just disappointed in one of the character reveals. I won't give it away, but he was kind of disappointed when one of the characters who was new was revealed, and he didn't like it.
I'll have to check that out. Is it the new Vigilante?
Yeah, the new
guy?
Arkham Knight, the new character.
Oh.
So whenever he's finally revealed, and the reason he was disappointed was because it wasn't who he thought it was going to be. So it might just be a personal preference thing. I haven't played it, so I couldn't tell you how the reveal goes. So it's totally up to preference, I assume.
I'll have to see because I'm a huge fan of the games since they're so close to the animated series with the voice acting.
Yeah, Mark Hamill as the Joker was so good.
Such an awesome role. But yeah, that's about as much as I got. I don't think you guys watch anime regularly, do you?
I watched Attack on Titan.
Oh man, that show is just crazy. It's a load of fun, but hopefully we get season 2 soon enough.
Yeah, I heard it's supposed to come out sometime this year.
Yeah, they held it back. I think this year or next year. All I know is they're actually making a live action
Yeah, I
movie
heard about that.
for it.
What show is this?
It's called Attack on Titan.
I can't say I've heard of it. But then again, I don't watch a lot of anime. I watched a lot of Sailor Moon back in the day. I don't know as much about it as Echelon, but I was a pretty big fan of that back in the day. That's pretty much the only anime I ever really got into. I've tried several, but I just haven't really clicked with them.
Yeah, they've been remaking Sailor Moon too, it's actually been pretty good. It just doesn't have the charm from the older characters. And I think Fairy Tail's been the only other show I've been watching lately besides wrestling.
I've been watching a lot of Haven. I finally got caught up with that. The show The Edge is in.
Oh
it's
yeah.
actually it's actually really good. You guys should check it out if you haven't already. It's a supernatural sci-fi.
Daredevil, I think, is the last action series I've seen, which has just been amazing. I loved how the show went. Oh well. Anyway, I've got nothing else, and my throat's just giving away at this point. Anything else before you head out, guys?
Nothing too crazy.
Don't think so. Just pretty much relaxing and playing games and trying to save up money for an Xbox One so I can get the FF7 remake when it comes.
We'll get it, and we can, I'll add you on my friends list.
Sounds good.
We can do stuff together.
Probably won't be till around Christmas though, because once I pay my tuition and once I pay tuition and rent, I'm gonna be struggling on cash for a while.
Just go beat up your landlord and tell him you're not gonna pay rent anymore. Hit him with a critical strike.
I can't do that. I like living here.
I want to beat up my landlord, and it's my dad.
Do it.
Yeah. But I'm moving out soon, so whatever. Anyway, this is the end for our podcast.